If you've ever been a little bit confused when I said death is an illusion or all of the terrible things that happen to you are an illusion as well, then you might want to keep watching because I'm going to explain it all. Here we go.
This is your life, no one else has gotta live it. This is your fight that only you can win.
Hello everyone and welcome to Freedom Friday, where you learn how to free yourself and live your dreams. I'm Darienne, your certified spiritual rock star. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications if you would like to get videos just like this. I've just launched a new program called Love Embodied. If you want to know more about that, it's really about building the foundation of your empire with self-love. If you think that that's for you, make sure you click down below to learn more. So another little change of scenery. I have the sun in my eyes. Hopefully it's not completely blaring out my face, but I am actually at one of my favorite parks to come to. I've got some horses in the background. There's a random barn cat that came and started rubbing up against me that's just hanging out here. The crows are crowing, and I just love, there's also country music in the background, so I apologize for that. But this is a beautiful space for me to come to. If you guys are empaths, having a space like this, especially for me, I live in a more I live in a more urban kind of a community, much more condensed and lots of people, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So it's nice to come out here and just soak up nature. So I was already filming here, so I figured why not film Freedom Friday, and hopefully the sun will get out of my face anytime soon. We shall see. Okay, so I got a question based off of last week's video. If you haven't seen last week's video, hold on, I'm just gonna look up the question. Last week's video was how to know the difference between your inner voice and your ego. Definitely go watch that as soon as you watch this or before you watch this or whatever, and let me know what you think. But I got a question from, I don't know if her name is pronounced Barry or Bari, but it looks like a woman. Bari Shalom. So she said, can you explain or can you expand on death, bad things, etc., not being real? So I say this quite often that, and of course this is my belief, you do not have to, this isn't the end all be all. Of course, everything I ever say is totally offering another perspective for you. If it gives you relief, wonderful. If it doesn't, then don't listen to it, you know? So, but I've come to the conclusion, and I truly believe, I feel like I know for sure, I do know for sure, I know for sure, within my own being, that death is not real. And that all the bad things that happen to us aren't real either. Now, this is talked about extensively in A Course in Miracles, and I'm sure a lot of people that have studied A Course in Miracles have talked about this as well, that death isn't real, that, I mean, we've heard death isn't real in pretty much all religions, right? Death isn't real because we are on a soul energetic level, which everything is energy, we are eternal, right? And so that's what I mean is like when your body dies, when your body stops working, essentially it's because your soul has just moved on. Some people might say your soul has taken on another form. I think you go into maybe the formless rather than being in another form. Really doesn't matter, but the fact is that there's still consciousness, right? The consciousness is still there. And we know through physics and through what we've learned about the law of attraction that everything that is once was formless, right? Everything that comes into form, everything that is matter now once was the formless. It came from the non-physical, right? So thoughts, it came from a thought vibration, and then really before thoughts there's consciousness, and then that turns into a thought, and that's sort of the first manifestation of it, and then a thought then forms, and it's kind of works like a magnet. It really is like a thought, just it's like this string, and it just works like a magnet, and we can pick up other thoughts. And that's why being in nature is such a beautiful place to be, because it's almost like you're picking up the thought forms of nature, you know, and or even the lack thereof, right? Like the earth is very grounding. There's a pulse to the earth. It's all energy. Everything is all energy, right? So that's another reason why we couldn't possibly die, because energy never dies. Science has proven that. If you don't believe in spirituality, science has proven that energy never dies. It only changes form, right? So we have to believe that we can't die, that we can only change form, right? And I don't believe that our consciousness dies, because I can feel the essence of my consciousness beyond my body, right? There's something, so what I mean by that is I'm not consciously telling my heart to beat, am I? It just is. Well, what's making my heart beat? It has to be something in the non-physical, because non-physical, formless turns into form. So it has to be that there's something here that is deeper than me, beyond me, bigger than me, that is making my heart pump, that's making my body work, because I'm not doing it with my conscious mind, but there's some consciousness that's making that occur, right? And even the consciousness that's created this abundant world and universe, and the abundance of universes we keep finding and keep finding and keep finding, it keeps creating because it's all abundant, because energy never dies, it only changes form, right? So let's take that one off the table, and let's talk now about when I say the bad things that happen to you aren't real, or negative things are really illusions, or really perception is really an illusion. And I've experienced that firsthand again with studying A Course in Miracles. Has really helped me with that, because the course is all about shifting your mindset. So when you learn to shift your mindset, I mean, that really is the basis of spirituality. Really, I mean, any spiritual practices that you learn throughout the world that I know of, and probably beyond, most of them are teaching you how to really shift your mindset. It's about having a conscious observation of what your thought process is, and then offering yourself a new thought process, or offering up really what I would do, and what A Course in Miracles helps us to learn, is sort of offering up your current perception and the way you're seeing the world, right? So when you're experiencing something bad, it's because of the way you're seeing it, right? It's like we've all got on glasses. We've all got on these, we're all looking through these kaleidoscopes. And these kaleidoscopes, it's this filtration of our thoughts, our beliefs. Science also has proven that energy and atoms and molecules, they react differently, meaning they move differently, they react with one another differently depending on who is observing them. That means that the thoughts and beliefs that are going on in my brain are going to change the way molecules will move and react, which will be very different than someone else. Maybe you looking at molecules and atoms and observing something, it's science, you will actually make the molecules move differently. And we are all compiled of atoms and molecules just densely dancing together, okay? It's a very poetic way of describing science and physics. So we know this. This has been proven in physics. It's been talked about for many, 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 many years. And this is why every single thing that we look at, what we are seeing and experiencing. So let's talk about what we're experiencing. Let's say we have a bad reaction to something. We're feeling a negative emotion from looking at something. It's not the subject that's causing the emotion. It's the filtered thought through which we're seeing that's causing the emotion. So it's how we're looking at it, right? So somebody could break your heart. We won't even say it like that. Somebody could do something that breaks your heart, not because of what they did, but because of how you took it. You took it as, however you took it, I'm not worthy, this means that they don't love me, they're so cruel to me, how could they do this? Whereas you could easily take it, turn it around and say, you know, if somebody says something mean to you, you could say, well, that's not a reflection on me, that's a reflection on you. And you could totally not feel bad about it at all. And you could say, well, I have a lot of compassion for you, right? And that's possible. So whereas somebody could come up to you and say, you're a terrible person or whatever, you might take it to heart and take it personally and internalize it and go, oh, that, and then say, no, that person is so mean because they made me feel bad. You could do that, or you could have a different perspective, and you could say, oh, I feel so bad that that person has such a negative outlook on life, but that has no reflection on me. I'm just going to say a little prayer and send them some love and not feel bad about it at all, right? And so when I say the bad things that happen are all illusions, what I'm talking about is, as a human being, we all have a brain, a mind, that it has to judge. It has to. It's the ego. It has to keep us alive. It helps us to create. We wouldn't be able to create. We wouldn't be able to enjoy this world if we weren't able to make a judgment on, do I like this? Do I not like this? What is this? If I didn't have the ability to judge, I couldn't see that I couldn't even see that that was a tree, because I couldn't see the difference between space and matter. I need to be able, right? It serves us to be able to see black and white, opposition, right? But it's merely a dimension that we're living in. It's merely a dimension. It's merely a filtration system. It's not the truth. It's like we're just seeing through a lens. We have to be able to do it in order to live on this planet and be able to, you know, live the life that we want to live, and just, you know, just come here to have fun. And so it's all a filtration system. Right? It's all the filtration system. When you say that something is good, or when you say that something is bad, it's just you observing it through this filtration system. It's all an illusion. It's all an illusion, right? And so when we have the ability, when we lose the ability, when we leave our bodies and we lose the ability to then perceive, we then go into knowledge. We go into truth. We go into the God consciousness, where we're not on this physical planet. We go back to non-physical, where we're just consciousness, where we're just feeling something. And I don't really know what that is, but I do know that you have the ability to change your perception, which to me says that perception is not who you are. It's not something that's eternal, right? Think about the way you looked at life when you were 5 years old versus the way you look at life today. Is very different. You see a very different world today than you did when you were 5 years old, right? That's because perception can change. That is why perception is not truth. Perception is illusion. And so everything that you see through your perception is merely an illusion. It's okay for me to look at these trees in this beautiful world and enjoy it and love it and want to be here. That's beautiful. I need my perception to be able to enjoy myself. But when I'm perceiving something that's causing me pain, I still then, because perception is an illusion, I have the ability to change it and feel better in the moment based on how I'm looking at something. So Abraham Hicks says that every subject is two subjects on. It's like picking up a stick, and on one end of the stick is the unwanted, and on the other end of the stick is the wanted. This is the law of polarity, right? So we're living through perception, we have to perceive polarity. Through perception is the law of polarity, right? So in everything that you look at, on every subject, you have the ability to either see the wanted part of it or the unwanted part of it. So if you're seeing something that is very unwanted, that means that you're seeing from the perception of one end of the spectrum, where you have the ability to see it from the other end of the spectrum and feel a deep sense of love. So how do we do this? Quick, easy way to do this is when you notice you're seeing something, this is from A Course in Miracles, when you notice you're seeing something that's causing you pain, instead of saying, that thing's wrong, how could this be happening? Instead of doing any of that and pushing against it, sitting back and going, okay, the fact that this is causing me pain means that there's a different way of looking at this. Means that I'm not seeing it right. Because there is a right way of seeing it, meaning from the knowledge within you, not from necessarily the perception, that's a whole nother subject, but you really got to read A Course in Miracles to understand what I'm really talking about. But when you feel bad, it's a good thing to step back and go, okay, I'm feeling bad, so I'm seeing this in a way that I could be seeing it differently, right? And then you say, this is from A Course in Miracles, I'm willing to see this differently. And you sort of hand your perception off to God, Source, Jesus, I don't care who you hand your perception off to, something greater than you. And you just say, essentially you're kind of like, I'm giving you this perception because it's not working for me. It's making me feel bad and I don't want to feel bad. So here's this perception. Could you give me possibly a new one? And then you just let it go. And I promise you, through your allowance, through your lack of resistance, you will eventually get, I mean, it might take a few minutes, might take a couple hours, might take a couple days, but really the more willing you are, the quicker it will come. And when you completely just let it go after saying that, you will then start to see a new perspective on whatever the subject was that you were talking about or thinking about. All right, guys, so I hope that helped. I hope that got some wheels turned. I would love to know any ahas. Of course, any other questions you have or any ideas for future Freedom Fridays, please let me know. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share this video on social media and follow me at Darienne Empire. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and you'd like to see more just like it. And until next week, where our new video will come, be sure to check out this video from the archive.